Yeah, hey Mangimati, when are you ready? You can start, Mati.
Sure, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glory to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Today we are reading Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 4, Text 1 to 12. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Deving Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Nashtaprayesu Abhadresu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttamasloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistike. Text 1. Narad Muni continued, Lord Brahma was very much satisfied by Hiranyakashipu austerities, which were difficult to perform. Therefore, when solicited for benediction, he indeed granted them, although they were rarely to be achieved. Lord Brahma said, O Hiranyakashipu, these benedictions for which you have asked are difficult to obtain for most men. Nonetheless, O my son, I shall grant you them, although they are generally not available. Then Lord Brahma, who averts infallible benediction, departed, being worshipped by the best of the demons, Hiranyakashipu, and being praised by great sages and saintly persons. The demon Hiranyakashipu, having thus been blessed by Lord Brahma and having acquired a lustrous golden body, continued to remember the death of his brother and therefore be envious of Lord Vishnu. Hiranyakashipu became the conqueror of the entire universe. Indeed, that great demon conquered all the planets in the three worlds, upper, middle, and lower, including the planets of the human beings, the Gandharvas, the Garudas, the great serpents, the Siddhas, Charanas, and Vidyarathas, the great saints, Yamaraj, the Manus, the Yaksha, the Rakshasa, the Pisacha, and their master and the master of the ghost and the bhutas. He defeated the ruler of all the other planets who were there living entities and brought them under his control. Conquering the abodes of all, he seized their power and influence. Hiranyakasipu, who possessed all opulence, began residing in heaven with its famous Nandana garden, which is enjoyed by the demigods. In fact, he resided in the most opulent palace of Indra, the king of the heaven. The palace had been directly constructed by the demigod architect Vishwakarma and was a beautifully made as if the goddess of fortune of the entire universe reside there. Text 9 to 12. The steps of the king Indra's residence were made of coral. The floor was bedecked with invaluable emeralds. The walls were of the crystal and the columns of the Vaidurya stone. The wonderful canopies were beautifully decorated. The seats were bedecked with rubies, and the silk bedding, as white as foam, was decorated with pearls. The ladies of the palace, who were blessed with beautiful teeth and the most wonderfully beautiful faces, walked here and there in the palace, their ankle bells tinkling melodiously, and saw their own beautiful reflection in the gems. The demigod, however, being very much oppressed, had to bow down and offer obeisance at the feet of Hiranyakashipu, who chastised the demigods very severely and for no reason. Thus Hiranyakashipu lived in the palace and severely ruled everyone. Thank you. Hari Krishna.
Yeah, thank you so much, hey Mangimati. Hare Krishna. I'll offer a brief praise and we can start. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityanamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Destarine जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधरा श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Okay, so I'm grateful for this opportunity to discuss Srimad Bhagavatam. Today we are starting the new chapter, fourth chapter. Hiranyakasipu terrorizes. What is the title? Hiranyakasipu terrorizes. Let me see. Terrorizes the universe. Yeah, that is the title of the chapter. So, in the previous chapter, we saw how Hiranyakasipu did so many austerities to please Lord Brahma, and Lord Brahma finally appeared, and he glorified Lord Brahma as if like he's the supreme personality of Godhead, and then he asked so many benedictions, and thinking that he's clever. Uh, he was asking. He knew that Brahma may not be able to give immortality, so he thought he's so super clever that he asked the benedictions in an indirect way, that I should not be killed in the inside the home, outside the home, on the land, in the sky. I should not be killed by this weapon, that weapon, and then I should not be killed by animal or any created being that is created by you, like that. All the indirect way he asked the benedictions. That's how the last chapter ended. Now this chapter shows how Brahma gave the benedictions, and then that's where it's starting. And then now that Hiranyakasipu got all those benedictions, he started to misuse those benedictions, and he starts to do all these nonsensical things causing violence to the society. So that is the essence how the first section is starting. So we'll talk about the three main themes I'm thinking today. One is about Hiranyakasipu, even though he got so many material opulences, how uh, material appliances are obstacle for devotional service if not used properly. That is one theme we'll talk. And then second theme we'll talk about is the envy of Hiranyakasipu. How we as practicing devotees need to be careful about the envy also. Yeah, that is second theme. And the third theme is about how Prabhupada points out in in this section of purports how scriptures are giving the right knowledge about upper planetary systems, things that we normally cannot see with our senses, normally cannot perceive with our senses. Scriptures are giving that detail, so we should accept that. So the three main themes we'll cover on. So we'll go through the verses now. We're in the Canto 7, chapter 4. In first verse, Narada Muni is describing. Remember, this overall context is Narada Muni is speaking to this Maharaj, this whole pastime. So ultimately, in the first canto, Sutta Goswami is speaking to says of Naimisaranya. And Sutta Goswami starts to describe Sukadeva Goswami conversation with Parishit Maharaj. In that conversation, now we are hearing Narada Muni instructing Yudhishthira Maharaj like that. So in that conversation, we are hearing this Hiranyakasipu, Prahlad Maharaj pastime like that. This chapter is the last one talk glorifying Hiranyakasipu in one sense, but the Prahlad Maharaj characteristics will start in this chapter. So actually, this next set of chapters are very very important uh, because they're talking about character of Prahlad Maharaj and teachings of Prahlad Maharaj that coming up. So now in this verse, it's described Lord Brahma was very, very satisfied with Hiranyakasipu's austerities because they were very, very difficult to perform. So, because when Hiranyakasipu asked for benedictions, the Lord Brahma granted them, even though they are rarely to be achieved like that. This word is used in couple of verses, first verse and second verse also. In this verse is described Sudurlabhan, very rarely obtained, like that word is used. In the next verse also, Durlaban word is used. Basically, these are very, very rare to achieve. They are not generally available like that. The benedictions that Hiranyakasipu is asking, because they are very difficult. But there are still material benedictions. Now, in the second verse, uh, Lord Brahma is speaking to Hiranyakasipu. He's saying, these benedictions which you asked are very difficult to obtain for most men. But I shall grant them to you, although they're generally not available, like that is describing. Prabhupada in the purport emphasizes one aspect of these material benedictions. Why is saying generally not available like that? So one aspect Prabhupada talks about is uh, material benediction can become a curse also. That's what he's saying. If one possesses more and more, if we possess more and more material opulences, then the benediction itself become a curse. Why? Because uh, just like how it's difficult to get a material benediction or material opulence, and because it requires so much endeavor to get material opulence. Similarly, Maintaining the material opulence is also great endeavor, like that Prabhupada is writing. So I was connecting this to our Nectar of Instruction, our Upadeshamrita book, that his own Sri Rupa Goswami wrote for us, and Prabhupada translated it as Nectar of Instruction or Upadeshamrita, depending upon the language you are in, reading. So in that, first verse describes about all the six urges that we need to control, and if they're not controlled, they're unfavorable for our devotional service, like that is described. Vacho vegam, control of speech, urge of speech, then manaso vegam, dictates of the mind, like that, and krodha vegam, anger, controlling the anger, like that, urge of anger, like that, vegam, tasting foodstuffs, like that, then udarapastha vegam, that is urges of the stomach, that means eating too much food, like that, and then the urges of genitals, like unnecessary sense gratification, except for using genitals for procreating children, like that. So these are described as, if you're not controlling those urges, then they are unfavorable for devotional service. That is one thing we know from Nectar of Instruction. And coming to the next verse, second verse, these are also six things that are described by Rupa Goswami. Those will destroy bhakti. He uses the strong words. Shadvir bhaktir vinashyati. Uh, Word is strong word. That it destroys bhakti, he says. These unfavorable things. What are those unfavorable things? The atyahara. That means collecting more than necessary or eating more than necessary, like that. Atyahara. That's number one. And then prayasa. Prayasa means over endeavoring for mundane things or mundane achievements, like that. That means things, if you want to achieve some material things, doing little endeavor is okay. But if you have to do so much endeavor to get something material accomplishment, that it doesn't allow us to practice bhakti, then that is considered as over endeavor or prayasa. So we'll focus on these two. Other things I'll just mention it. Prajalpa, nonsensical talking. Atyahara prayasa se prajalpa niyamagraha. That means following the rules and regulations just for the sake of following, not understanding the purpose, not for the purpose of improving bhakti, not for the purpose of pleasing Krishna, or just neglecting the rules and regulations, like that. Nemagraha. Atyahara prayasascha prajalpa nemagraha. Janasangascha laulyascha. Janasangascha means the association of worldly minded people. And that is to be given up. That otherwise that can destroy bhakti also. And then last item is laulyam or greed. So greed for material things, material aspirations, material equations, like that. Too much greed. So these are the six things that will destroy bhakti. Out of them, because Prabhupada is focusing on the prayasa portion indirectly in this verse. The prayasa is over endeavoring. So over endeavoring can happen in two things. One is when we accumulate too much atyahara, when we do that atyahara, then prayasa has to happen. That means when I have too much stuff, then I need to maintain them. For example, I get too many stuff for my home, then I need to clean them regularly, and then I need to maintain them. All that needs to happen. But if I live a simple life with fewer things required, then I don't need to do the prayasa. Similarly, uh, prayasa, Bhaktivinoda Thakur also talks about it in Bhaktya. There's a book called Bhaktya. There is just elaboration of the two verses of Nectar of Instruction, say verse 2 and verse 3. So in that, he describes a prayasa can be of three types. For example, Jnana prayasa, Karma prayasa, and then yoga prayasa. Those are three types of prayasa that is not good, he describes. Karma prayasa means to enjoy more and more material enjoyment. We're doing more endeavor, like that. Jnana prayasa means speculating, dry speculation, not acquiring knowledge, not for a devotion, but just for the knowledge sake, for dry speculation. That is also called Jnana prayasa. Because we cannot achieve bhakti or Krishna, understand Krishna through just Jnana prayasa. Only through love and devotion we can understand Krishna. And then Ashtanga Yoga prayers also to develop siddhis, they are doing extra endeavors. So that's also not appropriate, and that will destroy bhakti. We also know from bhakti definition, Anyabhilashita Sunyam, Gnana Karmadhyanavritam, Anukulyana Krishnanushilanam, Bhakti Uttama. In that word, definition of bhakti, Anyabhilashita Sunyam, Gnana Karma the Anavritam, like that is described. So that's also not suitable for bhakti. Gnana should not be there, Gnana should not cover our bhakti, Karma should not cover our bhakti. So that's why Prabhupada is describing that we should be careful about too much endeavor like that. Because if you get too much stuff, then you need to maintain too much stuff like that. So I had this realization, like when we have one car, we have less things to deal with, less going to maintenance and all that. But then because of the need, when we had to take second car, then we had to go for maintenance, we had to keep the car clean. All those things will come into that. So that's the other aspect. Then, Prabhupada says in the last line of the purport, the word Durlabhan indicates then one should not take benedictions, one cannot enjoy peacefully. So, this is a very simple way Prabhupada put the whole philosophy of Prayasa. Basically, is describing even though if somebody is trying to give us freely something, we don't take it unless we can enjoy peacefully without having to maintain it too much like that. So commonly, I heard an example some time ago that let us say somebody is giving a freely an elephant to us, then it's not we have to be careful to think is it free or is it really free like that? Why is it not really free if you get an elephant? Because if you get an elephant, we need to feed the elephant, and that requires lot of food. Elephant requires a lot of food, and the food means you have to have a lot of money to invest, to spend to get the food. And to get the money, we need to work harder like that. So just because somebody is giving freely something, that doesn't mean that is helpful for us. So we have to be careful to see, can I enjoy peacefully like that Prabhupada is saying here. So, or does it require a lot of maintenance that is unfavorable for my bhakti or favorable to my bhakti, like that we need to consider. In the same section, Prabhupada writes in Nectar of Instruction, even in practice of bhakti, we need to do some endeavor. We have to get up in the morning, we have to chant the holy name, we have to hear the Srimad Bhagavatam, we have to worship the deities like that, right? But then endeavor is not considered prayasa. That is favorable to bhakti. That's why it's not considered prayasa. Like that Prabhupada describes. Now going to text number 3. After Lord Brahma gave all the benedictions that Hiranyakasipu asked, he went away. He departed as described. And before he departed, Hiranyakasipu, different sages and saintly persons or sadhus, they all worshipped Brahma, it seems. Then he left. Now, text number 4. mm, he, Hiranyakasipu, now that he is blessed by Lord Brahma with benedictions, remember his body was all gone. Nobody could see his skin. He was maintaining his life just with the bones. His life air was in the bones. That's how he's maintaining the body. But Brahma gave him he got a lustrous golden body described. So he got the body back normally, and then he was remembering his brother Hiranyaksha's death in the hands of Varahadev, Lord Vishnu's incarnation. So that's why, because he remembers that, he's still very envious of Lord Vishnu is described. That's the nature of demonic people, Prabhupada is writing. That even though he got so many opulences from Brahma, so many benedictions from Lord Brahma, which are not easy to obtain in this world, he remains envious of the Supreme Lord like that. So that is what is being described. So this is envy. So this envy is a demoniac quality. Envy is not there in the spiritual world. Envy is not helpful for us. So generally, when we need to understand some bad quality or something that is unfavorable for bhakti, first we try to understand how it is unfavorable to bhakti, why it is bad, what is the reason behind people are saying envy is bad, like that we need to understand. Once we understand that, we can also understand How can I detect if I have envy or not? That we need to understand. Then, then if we get the realization, oh, I have envy also, then we can get interest and learn how I can overcome envy also. Our Hare Krishna Kirtan Prabhuji gave a class a couple of weeks ago in the temple. He very nicely described about envy. What is the definition of envy? What is the how does it manifest, and how do we overcome the envy like that? So it can we can spend enough time on it. But I'll share some key principles as I understood at least from about envy. First is how envy is not good. We can understand that envy is not there in the spiritual world. If you have envy, it's a competitor for love. Gaur Govind Maharaj describes and Bhaktivinoda Thakur describes how envy and Krishna Prema that we're trying to achieve, they cannot coexist like that. If I have envy, I cannot have Krishna Prema. Such a important thing. So then, Bhagavad Gita, Krishna describes in Bhagavad Gita that because Arjuna was non-envious, that's why he's teaching this knowledge. So if we are envious, we cannot understand the knowledge of spiritual subject matter. We cannot understand. There is another drawback. And then in Srimad Bhagavatam, second verse of the first canto, first chapter, it is described this Srimad Bhagavatam is understood by people who are non-envious, Paramahamsa devotees who are non-envious like that. So that means if we want to understand spiritual knowledge and apply it in our life for growing in bhakti, we should be non-envious like that. And then if we are envious, then we'll make offenses to the holy name. So, one way of thinking about envy, if you have envy, all the 10 offenses to the holy name will make it. That's why we have to be careful about envy. That is the first aspect. Now, how do I recognize do I have envy or not? First of all, it's a given that every one of us in the material world have envy. The fact that we have this material body, this gross material body, is a symbol that we have envy like that. It's a flag like that the devotees describe. That we have envy. So that is a clear understanding from scriptures. Now, the fact that we are in material world is means we are envious towards this Krishna also. That's why we are here. That is another aspect to understand. And the another aspect to understand is when somebody is happy, are we becoming sad that I am not having that happiness like that? That is a sign of envy. And when somebody is suffering and struggling with the distress in their life, are we becoming happy that I don't have distress? I'm happy like that. Then that's a sign of envy also like that. So another way we can understand we are envious is, let us say where group of four devotees are talking about one devotee and are who may be there, who may be not there also personally. But let us say two devotees are appreciating the fourth devotee in assembly of four devotees. Two devotees are appreciating one devotee very much. Then are there is appreciating a devotee who is not there currently. But then we bring up some topic saying that, oh, that devotee has this bad quality also. So the moment we're thinking like that, that's a sign of envy also like that. So these are a few aspects of how envy shows up. Whenever somebody is recognized, when somebody is given a position, when somebody is glorified, all these things, when we're not able to tolerate, that's a sign that we have envy. So now we understood how envy is not good for us in spiritual life. We understood how to recognize envy, and then we'll briefly talk about how to work on envy. How to work on envy is, first of all, we understand that Krishna has given us so much. That means we need to develop gratitude for all the things Krishna is giving. Right now, I'm able to speak because of Krishna's mercy. I'm able to breathe because of Krishna's mercy. I'm able to see the light because of Krishna's mercy. Because light is coming from Krishna only. Then I'm able to drink water because of Krishna's mercy. So, like that, we cultivate gratitude for everything Krishna is giving us in our life. That is the first thing we need to do. Then, when we develop appreciation for what we have that Krishna has given us, and then we also contemplate how Krishna is helping us in spiritual life in so many ways by giving the right association, by giving the right knowledge through devotees, by giving the relations for us. by helping us understand what is my next step to grow in bhakti. All these things Krishna is giving us. When we understand that and contemplate on that, then we'll feel grateful for Krishna, whatever he's doing. And then we understand Krishna will give whatever I need at the right time, right time. If, for example, if I make a goal that I want to chant attentively, then Krishna will show me resources of devotees who chanting attentively, example of them, so to get inspired. He will give me quotes from scriptures that will show me that how chanting attentively is important, and he will help me with the guidance of devotees and scriptures how to chant attentively like that. All we need to do is desire. Then Krishna is giving everything like that. Then we'll feel grateful for what we have, number one. And then we understand Krishna is giving different gifts to different people so that they can serve with that gifts. So then when somebody is given a special gift of cooking, I don't know cooking, but they can do cooking. So then we see, wow, Krishna has empowered them with a gift so that they can serve Krishna like that. But I can serve Krishna in this way. I can clean that way. Krishna has given me gift of cleanliness, so I can clean and make Krishna happy like that. So that's another aspect. Seeing that everything others have is just Krishna's gift like that. Then, um, and if when we detect that, oh, I'm becoming envious to this devotee, then we need to serve the devotee either personally, uh, so that they can see, or sometimes without their knowledge also we can serve them. In fact, we can even pray for them. That way, that is another way of serving other devotee like that. And we can appreciate other devotees even internally. Even by writing in our gratitude journal, we can appreciate other devotees. That way envy will reduce. And we can also take an opportunity to personally appreciate them also. That way also our envy for other devotees will go away like that. And then we can pray to Krishna. Krishna, I'm getting this envy on others. Please help me to uh, develop right understanding, and so that I'm not envious towards devotees like that. Like that, we can pray to Krishna like that. Going to the next verse, this Hiranyakashipu, now that he got all the benedictions, he became a conqueror of the whole universe. He conquered all the planetary systems. He made all the leaders of every planetary system his servants, basically, including sages, including demigods, including Narada Muni is described later on. That he defeated everybody and he made everybody in this control like that. This is the nature of a demonic nature, because until now he worshipped, he did all the austerities to please Brahma, but then now he's trying to use uh, use all his senses for enjoyment now, like that. Going to the text number 8. Yeah, Hiranyakashipu now is residing in Indra's loka, it's in Swargaloka, where there's all opulences. Indraloka is described with all opulences here in this section. How so many steps are made with coral, floor was made with emeralds, walls were made of crystal, like that. Everything is very, very opulent in Swargaloka. But Prabhupada writes in one of the purports how that even in the heavenly planets, uh, somebody goes to heavenly planets only by doing pious activity, right? But they have disturbances from demons like this, from Hiranyakashipu. So that's why even if you go to heavenly planets, in the upper planets like heavenly planets, still there is some disturbance. Even though there is no anxiety is much there, no death there except at the last stage, and then even there's no old age there, no diseases there, but still they're disturbed by demons like this periodically. So that is the other thing Prabhupada is highlighting for us. That means we should not aspire to go to heavenly planets. We should aspire to go to spiritual world like that. That's why we're doing bhakti. Yeah. So just to summarize, we discussed about Hiranyakashipu's nature of envy and how we can learn as practicing devotees to understand the uh, drawback of envy, and how to recognize envy and how to work on our envy. Of course, the most important way to work on envy is by practicing bhakti nicely, by chanting holy name Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So by practicing bhakti, all the lower qualities will go away related to mode of passion and ignorance, and mode of goodness qualities will come, and will go beyond mode of goodness to transcendence, like that. That's one thing we heard. And we heard about how when you have too much opulence, then that might cause over endeavor, that may not be favorable for bhakti also, we heard. And then finally we heard even in the planetary systems there may be disturbances due to demons. That's why we don't aspire to go to Swargaloka. Instead, we aspire to go to spiritual world to serve Krishna continuously without any obstacles or without any blocks, like that. So we'll pause here. श्रीमद् गौतम की जय, श्रील प्रपाद की जय। वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। Thank you so much, devotees. Hare Krishna.